All right, here we are. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. This is your girl, Christal Jordan from Christal with Love XO. And you guys know why we are here. I am here because last night was the final part 3 of the reunion for Real Housewives of Potomac. And so my good girl Brenda is here. And we're going to have to, I don't know if we're going to be able to wrap this up because there are still things happening. Every day there's new information from Potomac, but we're going to talk about last night's episode. And then also, I'm going to ask my good girl Brenda if we can talk a little bit about the SWV Escape show that came on right after that. It was a lot happening there as well. So just a little bit. It's Bravo. I thought, on this Monday afternoon, we could talk a little bit about both of those. So let me bring Brenda on in. Hey, lady.
Hi, you guys.
How are you? How's your Monday so far?
It's going. It's a Monday.
Man, it is definitely a Monday. It is definitely a Monday after a late Sunday night. Man, like I said, I mean, even I sent you a post, I think afterwards, and we'll get into all of this. There's so much happening with Potomac. This to me has been the most explosive season ever for Potomac. Would you agree with that?
Between this and season 5.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm just like, I'm not used to all this extracurricular stuff with Peter, now with Katie. Like, it just keeps happening. But if you guys can hear us, make sure that you put a XO in the chat. Hey, Kathy, thank you so much for being on time and being here.
Yes, and I'm sorry, guys, that I look dead, but Christal know that it has been a morning.
You don't look dead. You don't look dead at all, actually. No one would know if you didn't share, what was going on. You look absolutely beautiful. Let me ask you this before we get into the specifics of everything. This was a 90-minute part 3 to the reunion. Do you feel that they really addressed everything? Do you feel like everything is complete with this, with last night's episode?
I think it's complete enough because from my understanding, the whole 90-minute third portion was supposed to be to include the Robyn and Juan situation, and they utilized the last 6 or 7 minutes for that, which I projected would be the case. It was a complete waste of time. I felt like with everything that we knew going on off the show, everything that was revealed after filming and after the reunion wrap, that there was really no need to even give that any more light. I think that there was too much time spent on certain segments versus other segments. So I definitely think that it could have been done better. But I think that for me, out of just being a Housewives fan and hearing the criticism of Andy Cohen over the last 5-6 years or so, I think this is his best reunion that he has done. Okay. I will say that. I will give him that.
Yeah, I think I will say I agree with everything except for I think he should not have. I really wish they would not have addressed the colorism if they weren't going to do it the right way. I think that was a little irresponsible, but I do appreciate the fact that he really held people accountable. Even last night, usually he just goes a lot easier on them. And I feel like he really held Giselle accountable last night again, and even Karen, because, Karen looked amazing. I will say this. Karen looked great on Watch What Happens Live because I watched that right after.
She looked beautiful.
Great. Yeah. But I just be over Karen sometimes. The entire cast this season, it was just so much hypocrisy in it. It was ridiculous. But one of the good things that they did that actually Wendy said last night is that everybody does the exact same thing to each other, especially when it comes to rumors. And then they get upset when it's done to them. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. It's like you'll say one thing out of your mouth, and before the conversation is finished, you will contradict it by doing the exact same behavior that you were upset about. So the entire cast does that. I'll just start. I felt like the Mia Jaclyn segment was unnecessary. We didn't find out anything. They both brought all this paperwork and didn't share anything, or I don't know if that was just props or what. I mean, Mia had all this. She's like, "Are you ready? You want to do this? Are you ready?" And she did nothing. She did absolutely nothing.
She wasn't going to do because Mia is a liar.
she is a liar, but I think Jacqueline's a liar as well. It takes one to know one. I feel like, because she was like, oh, well, you said that you spent Mother's Day with my mom and you were on FaceTime with her for an hour. I just feel like that was a waste of time. I don't even know why Jacqueline needed to actually be there unless she was going to admit something. This whole idea of I take showers with my girlfriends, no adults do that, that are not having sex. I mean, let's just be real. That's ridiculous. So I feel like Jacqueline tried to backpedal out of a lot of stuff. They did suggest and kind of infer, right, that there was something that had happened between them. She also, acknowledged that Mia had bought her a Porsche, and now it comes out to no, she didn't. She paid for it herself. Like, I feel like she's a liar as well.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I agree.
Yeah, I just felt like that was a waste of time. Both of them, Mia brought someone on the show that has the same energy that she has. Jacqueline may be a little bit better spoken with it, but I just feel like she's a liar as well. So even as far as,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't believe that. I believe that they are sleeping together. I also believe that she also slept with G. I do. Because he said, well, no penetration, but what does that mean? Like, I just don't trust any of that. I feel like they tried to backpedal for, I don't know why. I guess because they're no longer friends. It doesn't fit the narrative anymore. It's not fun. Before it was giving Jacqueline a storyline, and I just think they're all three liars.
Well, if it's the thing about it is like if they're no longer friends, to me that would be as horrible as it sounds. It would be more of a reason to just put it all out there, expose each other, and tell the truth to give some validity or credibility to either one of them. I do think that Jacqueline has a bit more credibility than Mia because we've just watched Mia spew out all types of garbage that always comes back to be either extremely exaggerated or just not the truth at all. What I do think happened is that Mia did need a storyline, because last season when we were introduced to her, she used her upbringing and her issues with her mother as a huge part of her storyline. And I remember her saying at the reunion last year that her mother was not necessarily pleased with the outcome of that.
Yeah.
And then Candace basically said that she used her mother as a storyline and they wanted sympathy based upon that. So I think that Jacqueline was true when she said that, did I need a storyline or did you need a storyline? So I think that there was some type of conversation between the two of them that this is going to be the story, this is going to be the narrative, and then it went left somewhere along the line. I don't know what triggered it to go as left as it did, what was said, what happened behind the scenes. Apparently something happened on a flight to one of the vacations that was shown on television that we're still not clear on. Like, we don't know what started that argument. I would have rather them started there and explain what happened on the plane for everything to just go sour as it did. But I think that Jacqueline definitely played into the storyline that Mia told her to play into, and it just didn't work out in her favor either. And she didn't like to be viewed as a peasant or viewed as Mia's pawn. I do not believe that that Mia and G has not financially helped her or given her gifts, etc., etc. That's definitely occurred. And their physical relationship is 100% strange. So
I will say all the ladies showing each other their vaginas is also strange. Is that just me? I'm just like, I especially people over 35, I would never have thought that let's just do that. And I understand everybody, people go through stages and phases and but women that have bore children and are enough to be grandmothers.
It was definitely giving like college vibes.
Right. Am I crazy? You guys let us know in the chat. Is there any situation where you all would just get together and just show each other your hoo-ha? Like, I think that women are beautiful, but I just, that to me is just a little bit more than just saying your friend is beautiful, right?
It's definitely a little bit more extreme than we've seen on Housewives. Like, for example, I remember on the Atlanta Housewives when Cynthia took the cast with her to get her boob job consultation. Like, that was a little bit different than them just going in the bathroom and showing each other their vaginas.
Yeah, and I'm even saying, I would say I have a girlfriend that had her breast done, and she was like, "Here, you can feel it."
Yeah,
And
look. Yeah.
normal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but to just be like, "Hey, who has the prettiest kitty cat?" I'm just like, that's weird.
Yeah. They said that they were drunk, so I don't know.
I don't know if that's something that happens to people when they are on reality TV and you're trying to fit in. I don't know, but that to me is weird. I just felt like even drunk, because drunk is an excuse that people use a lot. Like they say, a drunk mind tells a sober heart. So
yeah, you have the courage to do things that you normally wouldn't do.
absolutely, absolutely. Donna said, "Why, child? I don't know. I thought it was very strange." Thanks, G. Michelle. You said it's strange too. But Mia saying that we shower together, child. Like I just feel like adults, anyone that is an adult that gets naked with another adult, then
Yeah.
that's sexual interaction.
Like you shower. I shower with my man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or I haven't like showered with like anyone since I was like a child, like 2 or 3. Like, you know how you have siblings and your parents put you in the tub together. That's the last time I remember taking a shower with someone that wasn't my significant other.
That's where even during cheerleading, like you would go into the showers. Somebody may be in a shower next to you, but like, come on in, let's do it together. Like,
you're right, like to save water. Like, what is happening?
Y'all on some other stuff, and that's fine. People like to take a dip in the lady pond. That's fine, but are you doing it because you really want to, or are you trying to fit in and be cool and make a storyline? That's what to me is kind of lame, especially for people that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's just weird to me, but
Yeah, I mean, but we've spoken about that with Wendy. We feel like Wendy wants to fit in with the rest of the girls.
I do.
I feel the same way, and I really like Wendy, and I want her to, just not feel the need to do certain things in order to be a part of the crowd. Even her like going like still playing nice with Robyn to me is odd when everything that transpired this season. It's like we can be cordial, but like let's not play this game.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I want Wendy to step into her power as a CNN analyst and professor,
and a John Hopkins professor, yes,
right, and stop lowering herself to play it in the sandbox with Mia and even Robyn and Giselle at this point. So that was weird to me. G. Michelle's, I'm not showering with another woman. I used to change clothes in the bathroom. Saw in high school, right? In high school, or even like if I'm going out of town, like if we were going out of town and I don't like sharing a room with someone else, but if I did, I mean, you may take, but it's not showering like, child, please.
That's a different level of intimacy. Like as women, we all know we have the same parts, right? So it's like, okay, like, you changing your shirt, you might be in your bra or whatever, or you walk out in a towel or something like that. But showering and like washing your lady parts and all of that, that is sharing bodily fluids. Like what that is.
Comparing your vagina to someone else. And Mia acknowledged a couple of years ago that she had gotten her a vaginal reconstruction done.
Yeah, like a rejuvenation.
Just, I don't know. That's really weird. That's really weird that women would be. But again, this is Potomac, and this season has been like, hey.
This season has been wild for sure.
Yes, everything's up for grabs. So let's talk a little. So I thought Mia and Jacqueline was unnecessary. What did you think about, first of all, I will say this, because I am going to correct what I said earlier. I did not like the way Charisse looked earlier. When I saw her actually out, I felt like she looked better than usual. I will say that. She looked better than she does on the show. Her hair was actually like styled. And I think that I think she looked good. I think she looked good on the reunion. Her segment, there wasn't really any meat there still. I don't understand why Karen hates her so much. I think that's hilarious. The fact that they proved Karen has invited her to parties, and it's almost like I feel like Karen doesn't want her around because she's the other person that is legitimate. And, they're in the same age group, and she probably knows where Karen's bones are buried. But Karen goes so far to be like, she can't stand her, that it makes me think like, why? There's something going on here. But really, Charisse didn't tell anything. What I did notice during this segment is I feel like all these women keep secrets, right? Mm-hmm. Because Mia was like, oh, are we talking about this now? So that lets us know that they all have certain things that they decide, I'm not going to talk about this if you don't talk about that. I believe everybody on that cast knew Juan was having an affair.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew. Everybody knows that Karen is cheating. They just decide what they're willing to talk about and what they're not. I even believe that they knew a few seasons ago that Jamal Bryant was cheating on Giselle, and Giselle was making that look like it was a real relationship. They knew it wasn't a real relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Karen clowned her a couple of times about it, but it's obvious that they have certain things that they keep to themselves. And then when someone else goes outside of those boundaries, then everybody.
Yeah, it's a tit for tat.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do that. I was watching Carlos King's recap last night, and I like the analogy that he used about what Potomac has turned into. It's definitely turned into like a CSI crime scene investigation adjacent type of series. This is the furthest we've gotten from sharing one's own truth on a Real Housewives franchise, I believe. And it's disappointing because, like Carlos, Potomac has been my favorite franchise outside of Atlanta and Jersey since its premiere in 2016. Even when people didn't like the first season and they were slow to catch on, I've always been a fan of Potomac, and just to see what it has transpired into is just it's unbelievable. You said something about Charisse knowing where Karen's bodies are buried. I believe that, but kind of going off of what you said, they all know things about each other that they choose to use as they use it to weaponize against one another in heats of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that Karen plays as dirty as the others, but when she goes there, she doesn't always like verbalize everything the way that she delivers information is not always believable to a lot of people.
She's not as savvy with the read.
Yeah, she's not as savvy with it, but I don't think that she's fully lying about a lot of the things that she says, because she wasn't the first person to say anything about Charisse having an alleged boyfriend or whatever. Giselle was the one to bring that up in season 1 going into season 2.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's disgusting how much Giselle and Robyn kiss Charisse's ass. And I think it's because they tried Charisse before, not they, specifically Giselle, tried Charisse before. And Charisse let her know, I'm not the one to play with. So it's kind of like, if you can't beat them, join them, is what Giselle did with Charisse. Because when Charisse came out, she basically stood up and kissed her on the cheek. It was just so much. And I was like, you're doing a whole lot. It's pathetic, actually. As far as what Charisse wore, I stand by what I said. And I think that Carlos had it down pat when he said that she looked like a Disney princess. I did not like her look at all.
Compared to how she usually looks, is what I mean. I'm not
1 and 2 reunion, I thought she looked pretty.
I just think that compared to how she usually looks, I think it was an improvement. I think that Karen, I think the reason that Giselle and Robyn are kissing Charisse's behind so much is simply because she's Karen's nemesis. I don't think it has anything to do even with Giselle thinking that she can't play with her. I remember that first season when Giselle and Charisse were going back and forth. But I think at this point, Giselle and Karen genuinely do not like each other, right? There's this weird competition, and they are constantly looking for opportunities to belittle each other. And I think that at this point, Charisse is just used as a weapon against Karen. And so I think that's why they treat her that way. I feel like we saw even that Giselle is not, one of the things that you said, Giselle is not really friends with anybody. I don't believe that's true, because we see that Robyn didn't even have her come to her wedding. If they were really that close,
yes,
Robyn would have had her come to the wedding, to the point where Giselle was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to call me at the last minute." And Robyn was like, "It was better this way."
So because Robyn made note to mention that one of her close friends planned the wedding, helped her plan the wedding and execute everything. Yeah. And I think that whole segment with Karen and Charisse also proved that Charisse is a liar, because she said, or she lied about those rumors, because when Andy mentioned them, she said, "Well, I said those. I didn't say those as fact. I said that because I heard it."
Yeah.
Like, but you went on a whole campaign leading up to this reunion saying that you knew these things as fact. You saw her coming out of a bathroom doing X, Y, and Z. Now these are just things that you've heard.
Yeah.
Like, pick one.
I think they all lie because there's a lot that everybody had. They're out, like you said, everybody knows where the bones are buried on everybody, right? Before we finish talking about Charisse, what is going on with this information from Katie? I'm thoroughly confused. I sent this to you before we got on here because I don't know. Basically, Katie is alleging that she and Karen had a she and Charisse. Katie and Charisse had a sexual affair. And again, we're back to the Lady Pond. And in this last post that came out today, Katie said that she lied about it initially because Charisse was still in court over her divorce. And as we heard today, that Melissa says Katie says she ate at the Y. She did. But she said that she said she lied so that Charisse could get her settlement against her husband. And we heard last night that Charisse said she got 50-50. She got a 50-50 split with her man, and we know he was very well off. So we know Charisse is good, right? So I guess if that information came out about Charisse having a rendezvous with Katie, that could have affected the judgment, right? Because if it's proven that you're cheating on your spouse, he definitely could go back and suggest that you don't get, the full amount of the settlement. What do you think? I don't even know. First of all, Katie came out of left field with this one. This shocked me because she doubled down. She first came out and said that, and then people pulled previous receipts of her saying that it wasn't true, and so she doubled down and now is suing. She said that she may file a lawsuit, another $2 million lawsuit, much like the one Michael Darby is supposed to be filing against Candace, for allegedly paying a blogger to write about their sexual encounter. And she's basically saying Charisse called her a liar and she wasn't a liar. What do you got? What in the hell is happening?
I'm just as confused as you are, but I'm also thoroughly entertained. I never see Katie is good TV to me. Like, she's always been fun to watch, especially that first season. She was not playing with Robyn and Giselle. Mm-hmm. But since she's left the show, and she's done a few pop-ups here and there as like a friend to the show. Mm-hmm. And I feel like her substance abuse issues have been well documented. So I really never know what to believe when she's like going on these Kanye like rants. They come out of nowhere. Like, no one is poking at her.
Yeah.
Someone will tag her in something and then she'll just jump on the bandwagon and she's spewing all of these things. So I never really know what to believe. But from the things that I did see about Katie didn't come off as a liar. She was very open about her life, about her past, about her relationships. And she honestly never really engaged in much confrontation with the ladies. She would clap back, but she never started anything. She kind of stayed out the drama and like focused on her own life and was kind of aloof a lot of the times, I felt, just in her own like Katie bubble. So I never know what to believe when Katie says these things. She's a character though.
She's definitely a character. T-Talk with Your Girl says Katie wants her job back. So I did hear that Katie is reaching out to Bravo. You guys know that she got in trouble, and that's why she got fired, because I guess she went off on Andy early on, and she was a little bit belligerent. But it's documented that she has substance abuse issues. So she wants her job back, and with them bringing Charisse back, she probably was like, well, I'm telling the truth, because she had mentioned it before. Marriott said that she had mentioned this before, she just didn't name names, but she is naming names. I just want to ask you this, Brenda, and I text you this over the weekend. If Charisse invited Katie to eat at the Y, knowing that Charisse, there's a huge age gap between Charisse and Katie, right? Not only that, we know that Katie has been dealing with a lot, right? She's kind of like she has some trouble. She's got a troubled past. I feel like Charisse may have been taking advantage of her, because Charisse is like that old predator.
I've said before that Charisse is like an old like lush. That's what she gives.
That just feels We haven't talked about this, and I know everybody's really passionate about this whole Chris Rock, Jada Pinkett, Will Smith thing. But just the part about Jada Pinkett sleeping with August Alsina when August was going through
clearly in his addiction.
In his addiction, also health and mental and physical issues. And Jada and he began a relationship at that point. It feels like
predatory,
taken advantage of. And the problem with this is, if it was a man, right? If it was Charisse's husband that had slept with Katie during Katie's, drug, issues, we would be like, oh, he took advantage of her. But do we feel like Charisse could have also taken advantage? Because Charisse is definitely that older woman who knows who she is. She's wealthy. She is connected. Like, it just feels very much like the same situation that happens when men do it, right? It's like Michael and, well, I don't necessarily see Ashley as a victim, but we just look at things different when it's a man and when it's a woman.
What was Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend's name?
Oh, Ghislaine. Yes. Like, yeah, like, how are you?
I know that's an extreme comparison, but in that realm,
yeah,
if that had happened, that's what it gives. Like, wealthy, well-connected, socialite, woman of a certain age. Let me be your mentor. Type of thing.
Service me, young, misguided girl. I don't like it.
I don't know what to, like I said, I never know what to believe with Katie.
Yeah. It's weird that she's going so hard. And I'm saying, we don't know. This is all allegedly, so y'all don't come for us in these comments, but it just feels weird to me. It feels very strange. Charisse has not responded, but
none of the cast have said anything about that either.
No, but I feel like they all know so much. They just sit there. And that's actually, I'm not gonna lie, Potomac, that's why I liked them initially, because they were a lot more proper. Just Atlanta's gonna be like fighting and taking, snatching each other's wigs and all. But Potomac was a lot more composed and reserved. But this is now they have joined Love and Marriage Huntsville at this point. I'm over it. I mean, it's just too much drama.
And we knew all of the like etiquette talk was BS, but I would prefer that than what we've been seeing. Like, there's been too many allegations. Once that Katie thing came out, I was like, oh, let me just log off.
I was tired. I was just like, girl, what is happening? Like, this is happening in real time. It continues. It feels like a Carlos King. It feels like a Kingdom Reign production as opposed to Bravo at this point. So moving past Charisse, because that was a really quick little segment that she was there. It was nothing really revealed, nothing really explained. It's obvious that she wants to be back as a cast member. I don't know if that's going to happen. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Charisse will be able to come back and actually get her place again as a housewife, or do you think she's going to stay in the capacity as a friend?
What was your take on Andy doubling down on the fact that that Charisse did not reach out to them in order to come on the show, that they reached out to her? Because Charisse has contradicted that statement previously in her interviews for this season, and even going back to like seasons 4 and 5 during her fallout with Monique made it clear that Charisse was trying to come around in the group in order to basically bring up certain rumors on the show.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they reached out to her.
I believe Andy. I do. And I believe he did that because Karen had made.
I'm sorry. I don't believe that she didn't reach out at all. That's what I meant to say. I do believe that they reached out to her, to bring more drama on the show, specifically with Karen. But if you've watched the show historically, you also know that she had been trying to make her way back onto the show,
right?
Even to the point where she was allegedly unmiked at events, but somehow the camera would pan to her because she was involved in drama.
Yeah. I think that Andy was trying to clear up the fact that, and I think he does this a lot, it's no one's decision but his, right? It's no one's decision but him and Bravo. And I think Karen was trying to basically put it on Charisse, like she was pandering. And I'm not saying, I don't believe that he suggested that she wasn't pandering. He's just saying that we make the final decision. That's kind of how I read that. You're right. Charisse definitely does. But for me, I get it. I feel like it's almost like the Nene situation, right? Charisse, I'm not comparing Charisse and Nene, but as far as her being there in the original cast. And it's like, I understand why she would want to be back on the cast. Like, when people get a taste of that fame and being on TV every day for, 3 months, it does something for it validates them in a way that they are always trying to get back on the show. People leave because they're angry at how editing was, and then they always are vying to come back. So I do think that Charisse is trying, and because Charisse was, not only was she a part of the show, but she put everything together.
The show, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not even mad at her. I understand why she would want to come back. And Marriott says they called her in interviews, I'm sure, because at the end of the day, Charisse still is connected to Potomac in a different way. And I think she feels there's some bitterness there, probably, at the fact that she started this whole thing, she put it together, and then she was cast to the side for all these other women. And then when you talk about, which I have to bring in, this colorism idea, right? So we know that Potomac is the conversation about colorism has continued, and Charisse is the brown skinned older lady that was kind of cast to the side, and they really celebrate Giselle. Giselle feels like the grande dame of the show, in my opinion. As far as, like, she's never checked, she's able to do what she wants, and she's kind of that central piece that is not held accountable for other things. So you have Karen, Giselle, Robyn, Ashley as the central characters. Candace and even Mia Candace and Wendy came later, but to me, for Charisse to be kicked out, I do feel like she feels some kind of way. And I think it has to do with this. I feel like it has to do with the aesthetic. And I don't think that was fair. I think that she should have a place back on the show.
I just didn't buy Andy's whole speech of, in the last 4 years, she has not once reached out to us when there's camera footage that shows otherwise. Like, just saying that it was a mutual decision for her to come back, and it was, beneficial to kind of mix up the cast, because we do get sick of seeing the Batman and Robyn situation of it all. It's kind of like the same storylines reinvented or carrying through season to season. So I understand why they will want things to be shaken up. And from my understanding, I thought Charisse, according to her and Giselle, that she left the show on her own terms. Like, she didn't have an acrimonious exit. She left because she didn't want her divorce playing out, on screen. And then she decided that whenever she wanted to come back was when she came back, and they were like, no, we don't need you right now. I thought that's how it went down, but I didn't think that her exit was anything too crazy. So I feel like
she didn't. Well, that could be, but from what I heard, she did not want the divorce to play out. She didn't know how things were going to go, and she did not want to share that, right? So, and you know how Bravo is. If you don't want to share something, then you can't
be on it.
You're not supposed to be. But we see that Robyn got away with that this season, and I feel like Giselle has gotten away with it as well. But so Terry says Charisse has no storyline. I have nothing for her. Ashley, Robyn, and Raggedy Dress and Giselle. I tell you what, if it's proven that Katie and Charisse slept together, Charisse gonna have a whole new storyline, because that is so
crazy.
That is crazy. And that would definitely
crazier happen for sure. But that came out of left field.
But I think that my take on that was just Andy was trying to make sure that everybody understood that he is still the head honcho,
the head in charge. Yeah.
People get on the show if he decides that they should come back on the show, not because Karen really was suggesting that Charisse was the reason that she was back on. She was so thirsty, and she's trying so hard to be back in and insinuate herself there. But I mean, she was there from the jump, so I could see why she would want to be getting herself back on there, especially now that she's got her coins and she's officially divorced. She's probably like, I'm in a good place, but she's been out here dipping in the lady pond with these little girls.
With these little girls,
I'm interested to see what's happening. Robyn asked us a question, Brenda. She says, do y'all believe that Robyn and Juan are legally married? I think they had a ceremony. I doubt a marriage. All right, let's talk about it. Let's get into it, because what I thought was interesting, Brenda, is that Robyn, just the marriage. We can go into the affair in a minute. For her to say that it was such BS for Robyn to say that he did sign a prenup. I don't believe that there was any. I don't believe there's a prenup.
I don't think there's a prenup at all, because I could have sworn she said in another interview that they just did away with the prenup.
I thought so too. I'm like, then she said there's a prenup, but it basically says they leave with what they have. What? And it's 50-50, but he doesn't have control of her businesses. Then she took out the
infidelity clause.
And they're going to actually sit there and test all of our intelligence by saying that she may be messing herself up. Child, you ain't done anything in all these years.
You haven't done anything in all these years. You're not going to do anything moving forward.
That Robyn tests everyone's intelligence. That was just ridiculous. The entire reason that she suggested she wanted a prenup was because of the infidelity clause and the finances, right? And now all of a sudden she realizes that we're both a part of each other's success. Girl, you're just lying. You're lying. I don't know if she's lying to herself or she's lying to us, but she
can't lie to us because we see right through it.
It's ridiculous. She literally said in that scene where she confronts Juan about wanting the prenup, she mentions the finances and she mentions infidelity. And then all of a sudden now she has a prenup and neither of those things are an issue. Child, please.
It's obvious that she took the infidelity clause out because Juan has clearly proven that he's going to be unfaithful, and there's not going to be of any consequence to him. She's not going to leave him.
No.
She's not going to kick him out of the house that they share together. So what is the point of having an infidelity clause in there if you're not going to do anything about his infidelity? That's number one.
First of all, you're not going to acknowledge that there was infidelity.
Yeah. Number two, as far as the financial situation, when she said that they have mutually contributed to each other's success, I instantly thought back to them losing all of their money the first time around, and she's saying on camera that during their divorce, Juan played dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there was no money, that Juan played dirty when it came to whatever was left over. Mm-hmm. And the second thing that I thought about was, remember when Robyn had that back taxes issue and she owed like $1,000 to the IRS, and he said to her on camera, "You got to handle that."
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
As long as you like it, I like it. So, like that's BS.
It's ridiculous. And I feel like I feel like Robyn is one of those women that does lie to herself, because when she sat there in that conversation with Juan, knowing that he had just had an affair and is bringing it up and skirting around the issues, I don't feel like she holds him accountable, but I feel like she's afraid. And she's one of those women that will, the truth is in front of her and she's like, I don't see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I'm not sure why. These next couple of seasons I think Andy's going to hold her to more accountability. So we may see what's behind all this, but child, please, I don't believe there's an actual prenup. I also could not even imagine when she's talking about this situation with Juan and this young lady, the entire rumor mill is saying that Juan has a whole girlfriend, right? Now, I'm a little confused. Is this the girlfriend? Is this the woman that was in the hotel, or is this another woman? Do you think?
This is a different woman. So the girlfriend that they're saying that Juan has is not the same woman from Canada who he paid, that he, had a rendezvous with at the hotel in Maryland. Those are two separate women.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought these were the same women. Okay. So she's not even addressing the girlfriend. She's just saying that that's a total lie, even though people are saying that he's out in Georgetown with his girlfriend. Whew. Robyn, what do you think, Brenda? Do you think that they actually got married, or you think that was just a show for, because it is very strange.
I think they got married.
Yeah.
I think they got married. And regarding the whole infidelity thing where you mentioned the on-camera conversation that they had, mm-hmm. It was either further confirmed during the unseen footage that they showed us at the reunion, because she gave us the timeline.
Yeah.
So she said that she found out about this woman November 2021 and they started filming March 2022. So you had this conversation with him on camera about an infidelity clause in the prenup on or around March 2022 when you started filming, and you still didn't put it in there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I felt like she just didn't realize. She's just not sharp, right? Because that's only a few months. And if she said that by the time we started filming, it was over with, November to March, but it's obviously not over with because you brought it up there. You just didn't want to share it, right? Because
I just need people to get their lives together. Like, if you're going to lie on national television, and you know that you're being recorded during all of this, like your lives need to be top tier, and they need to be able to build on top of each other.
Yeah.
Their lives just come crumbling down each and every time. Production has all of the receipts, and they haven't figured that out yet. It's just like, why?
Well, production has never really called them out like this season. This season, especially, like Giselle, Wendy, everybody got caught up with the
Giselle, Wendy, Robyn, Ashley,
everybody.
Mia, Jaclyn.
Yeah. So
The only person who was in the clear was Chris and Candace.
yeah. Yeah, because Candace did get caught, but it wasn't from production. It was her own Instagram, and she just owned up to it. She was like, I said it.
Oh, with the Robyn is going tech moment, right? Yeah, she stood by it.
Yeah, she stood by it. Candace was the heroine this season. If you guys are just tuning in, we are of course recapping last night's part 3 and final episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion, and we're talking about Robyn and Juan. I just don't understand why Robyn is, Andy asked her last night, does she ever get tired of defending Juan? And she said that she doesn't feel like she's defending him. She feels like she's defending their relationship. But even when Andy asked her about the allegations against Juan from his job with the sexual harassment, she automatically jumps to his defense and said she said that she would want him to have handled that with if it was
with
she would have wanted
care that they would for their sons.
That was really a lot. That was a lot. I feel like she's in denial, but like I said, I don't feel like it's on purpose. I feel like Robyn is lying to herself as well. I really do. I feel like it's not just
this is why I said her and Ashley are one and the same. What Robyn is doing now is what we saw Ashley do seasons 1 through 6 with Michael. Yeah. And all of the allegations against Michael and his butt grabbing and him allegedly, cheating with men and women and all types of stuff. And Ashley did the same exact thing. Yeah. I don't think that Robyn is lying to herself, though. I think that Robyn knows exactly what's going on. And instead of her just telling us, which we already see, instead of her just telling us like, I like it, this is what we're going to do, I'm gonna stick beside him. She wants to have all of these other excuses that doesn't make sense.
The reason I think that she's in denial herself is because it doesn't really. She doesn't look good in the situation. Like it actually is hurting her, right? Because I know there are a lot of women that will deal with men that are very well off financially, right? So if like we see Carisha and Diddy, Carisha's fine with whatever he does because he's Diddy. It's not the situation like that with Juan and Robyn. Juan actually didn't have any money. He was actually broke. He's cheating on her. Like there's nothing there. I think she genuinely loves him. And I think that he's all that she knows. And I think that there are a lot of women that will put on rose-colored glasses when it comes to a man that they love. And I feel like that's Robyn. I feel like she is just so stuck, and he's all that she's ever known. She's the only person that she's probably ever had that type of relationship with. And it's really a fear of the unknown, but I don't think she really believes the truth. I believe that she really believes that he does want to be with her, and that she's telling herself that he's really into it as much as she is. I don't think that she's lying in that way. I think she's delusional, but I think it doesn't make sense because he is no longer an athlete. He is damn near publicly disgraced when it comes to professional ball and the situation because of what's going on. And she's still sticking with him. There's really no payoff in it for her if she wasn't in love with him as her children's father. And I think, like we talked about last week, these women come from a more traditional background, and she's stuck in wanting to believe this lie that she's told herself. So I actually feel empathy for her in that way, because I feel like she really, really wants to believe that her marriage is going to fix everything. Now they're married again. His attitude is disgusting towards her. I believe, the allegations that he was involved in. That's another thing. I don't understand why she didn't connect those dots, or even the public. This situation with the girl in Canada, the girl suggested that, or he suggested that the girl was sleeping with one of his friends or another
Friend.
a ball player, right?
Yeah, and that she was the girl basically said that he wanted to pass her around.
Right. Yes. And that goes to the allegations that he's
from the guy.
It's the same thing. And I'm like, girl, look at this. This man is not, his actions are consistent, right? Even if he was paying for the room even if that was, which we know that that's ridiculous, then that would make me think, well, obviously this behavior is what you're being accused of over here, being a part of someone being passed around and things like that. So why is she unable to connect those dots? T-Talk says Robyn is in love, Juan is not. That's what I think. I think she's just stuck. And I feel like for her,
but I think as far as what you said, when you're like, there's no payoff for her, I think that there is a payoff. The payoff is her being on the show, because without Juan, what else can Robyn give us? Unless she steps out on faith and leaves Juan and shows us, her caterpillar turning into a butterfly moment. But she's not going to do that. Like, I do agree with you that Juan is all she knows. She's never tried any other relationship outside of Juan, even when Juan was doing, yes, he is friends with Michael Darby. Great point. Even though Juan has continued to, flaunt other women around and have other full-blown relationships, Robyn has refused to do that, even under the advice of her own therapist in season 1, when the therapist told her, I think you should go out on a few dates. And she's like, I don't want to go on any dates. I want to date Juan.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that she genuinely wants to be with him. I don't deny that. But he's told us and shown us that he doesn't want to be with her. He's been caught on a hot mic moment saying that he's only there because of the boys.
Yeah.
When Andy has asked at the 2 reunions that he's shown up to, what are the future plans for you and Robyn? He's never said, I'm in love with Robyn. I love Robyn. I want to spend my life with Robyn. He doesn't even show any type of genuine care for her. The way that he speaks to her. Anytime anyone asks him anything about Robyn, it's I care. I have care for Robyn. I have love for Robyn. Robyn and I have been through a lot of things together. Robyn has been down for me. It's like he's in this because he feels like he's indebted to her for some reason. And someone asked in the chat, Kathy asked in the chat, do you think she is staying because she lost his money years ago? No, I think that he's staying because she lost his money years ago, and she's at a point now where she can give him back what he lost. Yeah.
I agree. I agree also, Marriott. He does always look irritated with her and is really short with her. No gentleness. Like I say, he feels constantly agitated, like he doesn't really want to be there. And I feel for her, because I feel like when you're in a situation like that, she has to feel that. She has not felt genuine affection from him. There's no way that he's totally different when the cameras are off. It's not.
Standard. It's like watching Mark and Kenya. How uncomfortable that was for viewers. Yeah. But at this point, because we've seen it for so long.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, if you're not going to do anything about it, then why should we care?
Child, when you get enough, you'll stop. My granny used to say, when you get enough, you'll stop. Kathy asked, who was the lady that was at the laundromat that he was with last week?
It's supposed to be the director of athletics or something at Coppin State. I believe
know who it was. One SG Smith says, I know a person just like Robyn. She just let her husband run all over her with different women in every state. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of women like that. A lot of women like that. My hope is that Robyn comes into her own. And we're talking, and of course we're having a conversation, based on the fact that they share all this with us. But I genuinely hope that, I think it's never too late to find yourself. And I empathize with the fact that she is at this age and that's all that she's known. And that's got to be difficult to step out on faith at this time. But Robyn is a beautiful woman. I think she would probably be a lot more likable if she was in a happy situation at home. When you are in a situation that you're not happy, it kind of trickles down and affects the way you interact with other people. Mm-hmm. When she meets, especially women, because when you meet a new woman, you don't know if it's a woman that your man has been sleeping with one of her friends. Like, she's got to be in a situation that feels like it's a lose-lose situation. He is allowing other people to disrespect his family, right? And they do have these boys. So I think that if Robyn could stand up for herself, now it's going to be more difficult because she got remarried, right? But she can come to herself, and there's nothing wrong with saying I made a mistake and I'm doing better and start over again. And she has time to do that. So I really do hope that we see that from her. I honestly think Robyn is more genuine than Giselle in a lot of ways. So I'm hopeful that she will, get help for herself and for her boys, and we'll be able to see a turnaround with that situation.
That would be a better storyline to follow.
It would. I think people would be more empathetic for her, right? I feel like her issues with the other women, even with her being so hateful to Mia, there probably is a little jealousy there because Wendy, because Wendy, people can say a lot about Wendy, but Wendy's husband genuinely has her back. They have a much healthier, from what we see, a much healthier dynamic in their home, really, than anybody else there, in my opinion. I'm not buying Karen and Ray. So y'all can hang that up. I'm not into that relationship. I feel like Wendy and her husband have, to me, the most healthy relationship there. He is supportive. He is constantly, with her. I like Candace and Chris a lot more this season. The first couple of seasons, I was not on that train. You know what I mean? But these last 2 seasons, and I actually like Chris this season. He was very honest and upfront. But he and Candace, a lot of that was because Candace would talk to him crazy, and it was just weird. We didn't know exactly what he was doing. He was managing her. She was talking to him like he was her bitch. It was just weird. But but this season it's better. So let's talk about the very uncomfortable conversation between Chris, Giselle, and then Candace. What were your thoughts on that whole interaction, Brenda, between first Chris and Giselle, and Andy actually got in there and held Giselle accountable again. Go Andy, right? But what were your thoughts on that?
I think that Chris handled himself very well. I think that he was very aware of his emotions and having to basically keep them in check so that he didn't come off as aggressive or bitter or angry, toward this poor woman. I think that Giselle's reaction spoke volume. There was nothing, she could not say anything. She stuttered.
No, she not back down.
The only thing that she kept saying that she could say, because she had nothing else to go off of, was, "You made me uncomfortable." She couldn't say or do anything else. And as if Candace did not give her enough for the first 2 hours that we saw, she gave us the grand finale on the third part. She just was not having it with Giselle.
The gutter snipe.
And I hope that she keeps that same energy moving forward. I need for Candace to remember this moment and not allow the show, to change her. And then 3 seasons from now, we see her chumming it up with Giselle again. No, I need her to stick to her guns. She can be cordial. She can be in the room with her, but don't ever let it get to that point again, because Candace should have known better just from the way that she's seen Giselle move and snake her way through the last few seasons.
Yeah.
And, the plots that Candace has even been involved in and admitted to, with Giselle basically leading the pack. Yeah. So, now the table's turned, and unfortunately you and your husband
are on the other side of that.
Scapegoats. So lesson learned.
Yeah. I honestly think Candace went so hard. She pulled out the gut. She called her a gutter snipe.
She says the girl was white adjacent.
Now, I'm gonna say, and I appreciate Wendy. I keep confusing Wendy and Mia. I appreciate Wendy saying, okay, we can't do that, because you can't have a conversation about colorism and then, you're white adjacent. I think that was unfair of Candace. I think Candace is very passionate, and she went a few steps too far. It's like, it's contradictory to you. You cannot say that I'm getting the short end of the stick because of colorism, and then you use a attack in talking badly about her. That's not fair. If colorism is something that we're saying we're not used to, then you cannot use, because if Giselle said you black this or you're black adjacent, the entire internet would have gone crazy. And so we can't be hypocritical. It's kind of like how, fat girls can call skinny girls skinny, but if a skinny girl says a fat girl is fat, we're angry. That's not fair. So
yeah, I agree. I think that Candace shouldn't have said it, but clearly I'm high yellow. So
yeah,
let's start there. I don't need everybody coming for me in the comments. I think that what Candace said should not have been said, but I do not think that she was wrong in her analogy, number one. And number two, I think that the uncomfortability of the other light-skinned women on the cast and how upset they got proves her point about the differences in the way that the whole colorism argument and how the reactions are with darker skinned women versus lighter skinned women. But I don't think that she should have said that.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is that the women, the fair skinned women on the show have not said anything
degrading in that way. Yes.
Remarks. How what the issue is how the viewers respond,
are perceiving everything
what happened. So you cannot blame them. You can include them in the conversation and make sure they understand what's happening, but it's not their fault. And then when you use color as a weapon against them, it's unfair. So that was totally wrong for Candace, and Candace should have definitely apologized for that. I think even
I don't think that she should have apologized.
I feel like she should have apologized because
I don't think she should have apologized because her apology would not have been genuine. So like she said, I know what I said.
Yeah,
I know what I meant. She explained what she meant and she stood on it.
Well, but I hear you, but I say that if Giselle, Robyn, Ashley, or even Karen said anything about color with someone, we would go crazy. And so that's why. So if they can't say it, then you can't either. Kathy said,
I forgive her. That's how I feel.
Forgive her for that. Yeah, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. But I feel like I understand why Candace was angry, because Giselle doubled down on her BS, and she's sitting literally trying to. She's not sharp or savvy either, because she's sitting here, and Andy kept saying, "Well, you felt like he made you feel uncomfortable."
Yeah. Andy was trying to give her like basically an opportunity to either explain it away or apologize, and it was kind of like the Phaedra, Candy, Portia thing. Like she would not back down from it.
She would not.
And she just came out looking like a fool.
She again after even earlier, and then saying that she shouldn't have, the sneaky link, and then them talking about Michael in the DM with Ashley, and then Ashley was like, "Well, I didn't know you worked there." I feel like the entire Ashley,
Mia, Giselle, and what is the other one's name? Ashley, Mia, Giselle. Oh, Robyn. They were all a part of this plan. There was a conversation before filming started, and the only difference is that Robyn really wasn't there for it because she knew that it wouldn't turn out well. But that's how the whole Ashley's friend got involved, and then Mia chiming in, he made me uncomfortable too. It just didn't land properly. So Ashley and Mia kind of backed away, whereas Giselle doubled down on it.
And Robyn said that she didn't, because when Andy asked her later, Andy asked Robyn in that conversation, he said, "Candace feels betrayed by you." And Robyn's like, why is what I was going through how does that affect Candace? And he was like, "Well, you let Candace and Chris be the entire storyline this season, knowing that you had this going on." Robyn said, "Well, I actually defended her, but she really didn't. Not when it came to Giselle." That conversation. She
defended her privately.
She did, but not on
a public scale. Yeah, she didn't.
She never ever goes against Giselle in a public with the group. She'll talk to somebody one-on-one and say, "Well, I don't think," but she doesn't ever really stand up for herself. And I think again that could just be because Robyn is not in a good place. She's not have a good sense of self right now. So I'm hoping that changes. But she was on that BS. Giselle, that was disgusting to me. And even though I don't agree, Melissa said that, Christal, you're always so positive, but sorry, Giselle is very close to what Candace called her. I'm not saying that she's not. What I'm saying is that we cannot use color against each other if we're going to say that it's wrong, because if that's the case, then we have to be open for it to come back the other way, right? And we don't want that. And it's just ironic that Candace was the only one that spoke to the colorism with any sense of substance, and then she went ahead and messed it up to me with that statement. It was just like, girl, now you brought it back in from a negative standpoint, and you're the one that's weaponizing it. So it's not good on either side. There are a lot of, as African Americans and women of color, we come in all shades. Mm-hmm. I can't shame Brenda because she's, fair skinned. And if I do, that's equally wrong as if she, shames me for being brown skinned. It's just the same thing. It's not because it may be more favorable, it doesn't give me a pass to use that against her, because I'm just, quickly saying I grew up in a family where my mother was very white adjacent, right? And there were a lot of darker women of color that were mean to her because of her skin tone. And so she was very, very sensitive to the fact that a lot of brown skin and darker skin women did not like her. So I understand both sides of it. It's wrong on either side. So we can't.
Yeah, I agree that two wrongs don't make right. I also think that two things can be true at one time. I 100% understand what Candace was trying to say. I think that it could have been delivered differently.
Yeah.
Maybe she could have, because Candace is very smart. Yeah. She's not only book smart, she has like a lot of wit. She's
witty, yeah.
A lot, what I mean. I think that we've seen her growth on the show, even in terms of the way that she responds to people.
Yes.
So I think that it could have been delivered differently. Maybe if she would have excluded the white adjacent ass part, it would have been as
that would have been better. Right?
Yeah,
I didn't like Gutter Snipe, but I would have taken that because Giselle's actions were disgusting. But when she brought the color into it, I was like, Candace, we just had this great, because again, I think Candace defined it and explained it great. And you can see the other one kind of shied away from it. But, Giselle's actions were disgusting. And I hate that Potomac is about this, the colorism, the validation behind having a man and using that again. I'm sick of it. I think it's disgusting. And I think it's also part of the reason that Robyn is in the situation that she is, because a lot of them have those old school, disgusting, patriarchal ideas that, having a man is makes me valid. Even Ashley, we see her, playing around the situation because she wants the validation of having Michael involved in her life. And this is an example of I think, for all that I don't like about Atlanta at least is a lot more forward thinking, and the women are not relying on these old stereotypes that are very detrimental to our culture. It's just disgusting. So I don't like that about Potomac, and I hope that we'll see that change. I do want to echo what you said, Brenda. I think the reason I was really excited about Candace this season, Candace is very smart. She's obviously a beautiful girl. She's talented, but we've seen a lot of growth in her as a woman. And I love that. I feel like she's come into herself. I think initially she still has a quick trigger, and she would really allow them to trigger her. To bait her in her
every time.
Now I think she's just more confident, and she's more centered in herself. And I think that's what we're seeing from her, even in her relationship with her husband. It seems like
with her mom.
Yeah. I'm proud of her. I think that she's made a lot of personal development that shows up in how she presents herself in the show. And it's also proof that age is not indicative of maturity, because
Candace is what, like 36, 37?
I think she's younger than that. Let me pull it up really quickly. I think she's like in her early 30s. But she comes off as a lot more.
She's 36.
She's 36. Oh, wow. See, I thought she was like.
Yeah, but I remember I told you before, it's just because she's petite. So we just assume she's younger.
Yeah, I did.
Yesterday I went to the doctors and they thought I was 19. I'm like, I'm 32.
Oh, lot. Well, that's a beautiful thing. Hold on to that. Hold on to that as long as you can. So how old is Ashley? Hold on.
I don't even know.
Hold on. I'm looking up at, because I've excused.
Ashley's 34. She's younger than Candace.
So that I thought they were the same age. That's why I was thinking that that they were like the same age, but they're a couple years apart. Ashley has room to grow, but that's why I excuse a lot of her behavior with Michael, because she was so much younger, right? When she first came on, she was a lot younger.
One thing that is good to note is that Ashley was the youngest housewife casted in housewife history. I think she was 26 when she started the show, 26 or 27.
Yeah. So that's really young. I feel like for those of us watching, for me, I'm in my mid 40s, and I definitely feel like my 30s were a growing time, right? So I don't feel like I've changed, but I think I became a lot more comfortable in my own skin, after completing my 30s. So it's a growing period of time. And so you have to give people grace. That's why I have very little patience and understanding for Karen, Giselle, and Robyn in that way. And even Wendy, because I just feel like, girl, you know what you're doing. It's like there's no growth. With Candace and Ashley, I feel like they're both growing. Mia is a whole nother story. I don't even consider her in this situation because she's on some other stuff. But the other ones, Candace and Ashley, I think have gotten a pass from me with some of the behavior, just because they are still growing and they're trying to figure things out. And you have to allow people grace. But Candace's actions are a lot more mature in the way she carries herself than Giselle. You know what I mean? So I hope that we see some different things next season. What do you forecast, real quickly, Brenda? What do you forecast for next season when this Potomac?
I don't know. I was just about to ask you that. What do you think is going to happen casting wise? Or what would you like to happen casting wise? Because I'm sick of this cast.
I know that people want there to be a shakeup. I would like to see Charisse reinstated, because I at this point I'm just curious to what's going on. She mentioned that she got her divorce settlement and she got 50-50. I think whenever you see a woman at that level in her life, in her 50s, late 50s, she was on Iyanla Vanzant as well, and there was a lot that came out on that. I think that if Charisse would be vulnerable, right, and she would actually allow the cameras and the storyline to include what is really happening in real time, I think that could be a success story for a lot of women. I think getting divorced from a very powerful man at that age is scary, and her dating and trying to figure out, and if she likes to, if she's a switch hitter, then that could be interesting as well. But I just feel like because she was a part of the original cast and she is the essence of Potomac, I would love to see her on the show. If Giselle and Robyn stay, which I know they will, Andy's not going to let them go. Obviously, Giselle is on this new ultimate girls trip. She's one of the fan favorites, even though people love to hate her. I hope that they will be held more accountable moving forward. I hope that Andy getting in their ass on the reunion is indicative of the way that things will move forward, because Giselle, we don't know what's happening with her. Like, we know nothing. She shared absolutely nothing. So I hope that will change, moving forward. And I just hope Robyn will wake up and we'll see her actually holding Ron accountable or, moving on her own. That's going to take a long time because they just got married. But I don't really see any shakeups. I would love for Mia to be gone, me personally, because I just don't think she fits the group. But I also know that Mia offers entertainment, and I doubt they're going to let her go. But I do think that she should be penalized for throwing that drink in Wendy's face.
I would like for Mia and Robyn to go. Mm-hmm. I don't foresee Giselle going anywhere at all. Mm-mm. So that's really not even an option. I think that there are two reasons why Mia. I think there are reasons why Mia and Robyn would be given a second chance. For Mia, because we know things that are going on with her businesses, so I think that Bravo will want to follow that, as well as even potentially continue to figure out what happened with she and Jacqueline, so they may be giving more airtime next season. I do. As far as Robyn, I just think that there should be penalties for people who lie and don't show their stories on a reality show, just as there have been in the past. We've seen it happen on other franchises where people have either been axed out completely or demoted. So I think that if Robyn stays, like I mentioned, I watched Carlos King's live last night. Unless Juan is going to participate fully on the show because he is a part of her storyline, they are married now. She doesn't need to come back, or she needs to be demoted to a friend of the show. I 100% agree with that.
I'm not mad at that. I think she could be demoted to Giselle's friend. That's because that's really what she is anyway, right? And since Juan is not going to participate, then take him out of the equation totally. Interesting. Really quickly, and just
about the Wendy thing. Yeah, I don't really see where Wendy's storyline can go from here. I don't know what she would give. Obviously they will want to see what happens with Chris, Giselle, and Candace. They would like to probably see some resolution or see how they can try to figure out how to move forward peacefully or coexist.
Yeah.
That's always a Bravo thing. I don't even know where Karen's storyline would go at this point. So Karen and Wendy are like up in the air for me as far as what we could see next from them. But I think Mia and out of anybody who should be penalized, it should be Mia and Robyn.
I agree they should be penalized. They probably won't though, because as somebody said earlier, Mia's TV gold. She gives the excitement and she stirs stuff up. She has nothing to lose. It's interesting because I didn't think about that. Wendy's storyline, like unless she gets more plastic surgery and comes out as a whole bisexual woman, I don't know what else we could do because she's, I do think what I would like to see from Wendy, because I feel like she's a perfect example of what my campaign is about now with the alpha female that need to really do some introspective work. I would like to see her explore why she's such an overachiever and why she has so much anxiety. I don't know that she would feel comfortable doing that. I don't know that she would actually be willing to go deep and get vulnerable, right? But if she would, I think it could help a lot of women. And I think that could be beneficial to her storyline if we see actually like what is going on, that you're losing your edges and that you are, sick and not taking care of yourself. What is really behind that? What is going on with the pain that you have sustained from how your mother raised you, and that you are not necessarily, you're trying to live up to something that is not making you happy. If she would be willing to go there, I think that could be deep, but I don't think that she will.
I don't even think that that's interesting to watch. And I'm so sorry if that comes off as rude, but that is not why we tune into Housewives. I just think that Wendy is better than this show. I think that this is not doing her real career, because she's the only one on the show who had
a real career,
a legitimate career, outside of what Candace has built on the show. I don't think that it's doing her any justice. I think it's doing her a disservice. And I think that if she continues on this show, that it is not going to work in her favor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Star, that you think that's rude. I don't want to see that on Housewives. I mean, that's what we have like Iyanla for, and different shows like that.
But what about, okay, what if
we want that for her? I do want that for her personally. I want
to watch it.
Yeah, I just don't want to see. I don't think that that's going to, like, how would that fit in with the rest of the group? They've already tried to ask her out. So to me, her only ally on the show is Candace. And I just think that if she continues on this show, that it's not going to be good for her.
I agree.
It's not worth her risking Johns Hopkins and her political commentary.
She's doing away with it because, like I said, she had every option, even telling people that she had the prettiest punani. It's just like, eventually this is going to affect her. And but I think it's real life, because there's a lot of women in those situations that really would rather be considered the hot girl than the smart girl. That's just a real thing. Interesting though. I know that would have to be, she would have to really, really, really put it out there. We'd have to see interaction with her and her mom and breakdown in order for that to happen. Quickly, Brenda, because I mentioned in this summary that I wanted us to mention the SWV and Escape thing. I know we watched that, both of us did. Can I just say, I don't know if you guys watched that, but what was really unsettling to me, and I understand that Candy has a great relationship with Bravo and she's executive producing this and is offering a great opportunity for SWV and for the other members of Escape. However, watching Tamika and Tasha and their mother was a horrible scene to me. And for Tamika to share that Tasha had stolen from her and there was no answer for it, I believe Tamika completely. That was disgusting.
I believe her too.
That was very disgusting. And to see the way the mother mouthed, "Oh, she's just jealous of you."
Jealous of you. Mm-hmm. The mother definitely has a favor. So I think I told you this, that she's either Tasha and Rocky are taking care of her. I don't know what that dynamic is, but it's weird.
Yeah. You said that. I think that scene proved it, because the mother is clearly on Tasha's side against Tamika. That's got to be hurtful. I understand people like watching stuff like that, but I'm just like, I wish they wouldn't air that, because that's got to be extremely hurtful for Tamika. Even watching that back and watching the mother, belittle her and praise Tasha. Oh, you deserve an Oscar, all that. You're so dramatic. And what did she? And then Tasha was like, oh, well, your family, I can't do anything about that. And then Tamika's like, Mom, did you hear her? And she's like, what? How did that offend you? It was a bad scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to me, if anybody knows the history, to me that was indicative of the reason why Tasha rose so hard for Tamika back then when they first had that major blow up between the Scott sisters and Kiki, because she just didn't want to deal with being ostracized, from their mother. And what it looks like now is that she's not willing to sacrifice her financial gain and her financial independence for her sister's BS, because Tasha is, I don't know what Tasha's problem is. Tasha is clearly on some BS, because we've seen her beg, the Scott sisters, both of them, beg and plead and have interviews and scrounge for this reunion, only for Tasha to turn around and want to go solo. It makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no sense.
And I hope that this is validation for Kandi, because for nearly 20 years when they were broken up, Kandi got all of the blame for it. Oh, she thinks she's better than us. Oh, she thinks she doesn't need us. And which she didn't need them at that point, but she went back, for the fans and for personal reconciliation, I guess. So I think for it to be 3 against 1, and then we see all of these conversations about Tasha's husband, and just even Tasha's just disposition is just so odd, so odd to me. Like, she doesn't smile. She's just kind of like there. She just has this aura about her.
I feel like she's playing victim, and she mentioned a situation where somebody called her the big girl of the group, right? And somebody said, "Oh, the big girl sang really, really well," and I feel like she's upset with other people because of how she was treated,
and how she still carries that big girl mentality as well. She still carries that.
She's carrying it. But the thing about that, number one, if we can be honest, and I know, Brenda, you were really young when they came out. That was like my era, right? All of them got made fun of a lot.
Yes, they were made fun of for their looks. Didn't Biggie call them ugly?
Biggie called them ugly. So let's just be real. Everybody and SWV had some of the same negative remarks made about them as well. So I feel like Tasha, in the entertainment industry, it is very difficult to be a woman. Women are judged solely on their looks. Talent doesn't often have that much importance, when it comes to people being popular. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about. Like with Wendy, it's like, I'd rather be the hot girl than the smart girl. Most women at some point, would rather be the pretty one than the talented one or the smart one or the rich one. Even people are like, I would rather be, looked at as desirable than looked at as smart like Oprah, which is a problem in our society, period. But Tasha is holding that, and she's stuck. She's stuck. She's not the fat girl at this point. She got upset because, and Tamika was being slick.
Tamika was definitely being shady, but
you don't have to ask.
But I still think it's petty, though. Like, the whole
petty, but the crazy thing is, all of them have had their body done. Nobody is working with what God.
Why Tiny said in her confessional, well, yeah, Tamika had. I mean, Tasha never had a butt, but she didn't get her butt done or anything. She didn't get any surgery like the rest of us. That's what she basically was saying.
Which is ridiculous and sad that at this point we're shaming each other for not getting
surgery.
Yeah. I
live in Atlanta. I don't.
Child, it's a hot mess. My poor daughter was like, Mom, every girl in here has surgery, and she's like a DJ. She's like, I said, Chanel, just you gotta be happy with what God gave you. But
and I'm pretty confident. But I feel like if I lived in Atlanta, that would definitely get to me.
I think it depends on knowing who you are. And then you have a very strong family unit, Brenda. I think a lot of things
growing up, if that was all that I saw, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, like you gotta think about it. Like, I'm saying, if I came to Atlanta back then, like, natural hair, locks, skinny, where everybody else looks like Instagram models.
Right.
Just out here skipping down the street with my natural body.
Yeah, natural body and natural hair is definitely not the move here. But and I'll admit, even as a grown, intelligent woman, sometimes I'm like, man, this is a lot. But
that's what I mean. Even if you have a strong sense of self, it's just like, well, everybody got one.
Yeah, everybody's packing. But I grew up with a big behind, and I hated it. So I'm just like, y'all, I did not. I hate
for what you have. basically.
I hated it, but because I grew up in a place where that wasn't cool, so I would get, but point is, it's sad to see sisters. It's sad to see Tasha at this point still stuck. But I also admit we don't know what it would feel like to be on that level of people talking about you and things like that. But for her to bring up that specific situation, it was someone else that did it. Again, even like with the Housewives of Potomac, Candace and Wendy are talking about hurtful things that are coming from the audience, not coming from the cast. And Tasha was talking about someone that watched them perform. It wasn't coming from Candy. It wasn't coming from her sister. It wasn't coming from Tamika. From Tiny. So the idea is it really is about her being really insecure. And that insecurity, again, with a husband that has had infidelity, is playing out with her being mean towards other women. And it's like, you got to fix you first. You got to get you together. You got to let that go so you can be a better person. Because I feel like we're going to see a lot of ugliness that really are because of the self-esteem issue that she has to work through for herself.
And I feel bad this time around, even though she's the problem, because there's not going to be a third chance.
No.
After this, you guys have done the Great Escape tour. You guys have done the reunions. You guys are still booking shows. I don't foresee, I don't know about Tiny and, the sister, but I definitely don't foresee Candy dealing with this for too long.
And she shouldn't.
It's not worth it.
When I interviewed Candy, she did say that escape issues do bother her because these are people that she did grow up with, and it does get to her in another way. And I respected that for Candy to still have that connection to them because they did grow up together from the time they were like 14. But I think at some point it's like you just keep trying to sabotage. She's sitting in there in that meeting and literally came to sabotage it. That was crazy. Like in front of Coco and what was funny to me is Coco like, I barely like these two on the other side of me. I'm not going to deal with this.
I felt same sentiments. It was funny to me, and I was talking to my cousin because SWV had a reality show on WeTV where Coco was the problem on that show. Yeah. So to sit back and see these two groups who, clearly have like an alpha female and in the group, and for Coco and SWV to have it together, and for Coco to come out likable and amicable, there is a problem. Because Coco had no business. She had no problem reminding them, "I'm Coco, lead singer of SWV." That was her favorite line on that damn SWV show.
I remember. And then, I live here. I'm really cool with Lily. And, it's funny because it's almost like the Dream Girls dynamic, right? So it's like the one that actually probably has the vocals that are most impressive feels like they should be the front person, but because of the way the public perceives them, that person may not get the hype that they feel like they deserve. And I feel like Tasha has the wrong husband, because a good husband should say, baby girl, you're fine. Not go out there and show them why.
Show them who you are. So use your voice.
You should not be competing with your group for what? Like, what are you competing against them for? So that the audience can say, we all know you can sing, girl. We've known that for the past 20 something years that you're not. What is the problem? So, and I don't know that anybody is signing up for a new gospel / contemporary / R&B solo album from Tasha. At this point, it's going to be Tasha from Xscape, so.
But we never asked for it the first time around. With all due respect, they're better together than they are separately. Agreed. Even Candy didn't have much success as a solo artist. She took to writing, producing, starting businesses, and that's fine. Everybody's not meant to be a solo artist, or sometimes it's hard for people who are a fan of the group to see you outside of that element. So Absolutely. you should do what works.
Yeah. Coco's mom used to always tell her that she was the best singer and that everyone was jealous of her. I believe that. And that's the problem.
It's also odd to me that I understand her personal insecurities, but I would at least be secure in the fact that I know that I can sing my behind off, because collectively as fans of Xscape, everyone says that Tasha, has the voice. No one has ever taken that away from her. So it's just odd to see.
She don't care about the voice. She cares about the fact that people called her the big girl and that she was unattractive. But again,
her nickname was Meatball. That's what the group, didn't the group members used to call her that?
Yes. But you heard her. You're mad because of the fact that that's nothing that other people can do for you. As Cat Williams said, self-esteem is esteem of yourself. You have to work through that. No one else can do that for you. So I hope they're able to work through it. I hope we don't have to see a bunch of episodes of that, because seeing that, like I said, I believe that Tasha did take her money, and seeing that Tamika was really hurt and the mother playing to that, I was like, I'm not.
The mom didn't even play into it. She got quiet.
I'm not watching the whole
the
season.
Cameras turned off. That's what I said. I can't watch. I had a headache. But I texted you. We got the episodes early. So
I couldn't believe that. I was just like,
I had a headache after I watched that first episode. I could not believe it.
She was like, you could still go to jail now. I was like, y'all were not ready for the cameras to be here. Like, and then the mother was like, cameras off, get out of my house. I'm like,
how much money was it? Did she say this? Do you remember that she said a figure?
No, she didn't say a figure. She didn't say I know it was over $50,000. I know it was over $50,000. Yeah, it was like money that had been coming in and she didn't even know. And Tiny's mother.
And you know how I know she told the truth? You just mentioned it. She said Tiny's mom.
Yep.
Love Candy to death, but it wasn't Miss Joyce. I'm sorry. Because Miss Joyce didn't like those Scott sisters after everything went down with Candy.
Joyce wasn't gonna tell nothing.
No. Why would Tiny's mom randomly tell you that?
Yeah. And I don't think at the time it sounded like she told her, but she didn't realize that Tamika didn't know.
Didn't know, yes.
So she wasn't, because Tiny's mom is so sweet. She wasn't trying to be messy. She didn't know. And Tasha had no response. But that was a bad scene. I was like, this is a bad look. I don't want to watch this. I really, I love both groups. The music definitely contributed to the culture. Oh,
I don't care if it was 3K.
It's too much. That's too much money. That's too much money. And from your sister and her husband, like that is, and the mother is cool with it. Like
$30,000 right now. Just there you go.
So everybody needs $30,000. To me, bless Tamika's heart. Y'all, Tamika has a cookbook out. Please go support the cookbook because that may help her recoup some of that money that her sister took.
You're so shady. That might help her recoup some of that money.
That's horrible. That is horrible. Tasha was lying. It was clear. It was clear to everyone. I think everybody watching that. And I'm like, why y'all come on TV if you don't have those type of things ironed out already? Like that's a really bad look.
This is not a good look for Tasha because I promise you, I did not see one comment that was not like, oh, it's Tasha.
But I think people already knew that though. I feel like me living here in Atlanta and I've worked with them before, it was already clear. But this is just reminding everybody on a larger scale, but she needs therapy and some help. And
she needs to lose that husband of hers.
I'm telling you, that's usually the problem is a good start.
Industry, I'm all for love and working together, but start a separate business. Your husband does not need to be your manager. We have not learned that from Mary J. Blige and wasn't Anita Baker's husband her manager, and she had to fight him.
We learned it from Tina and Ike.
Especially if they have no prior music industry management experience.
Yeah. Well, I think he actually was, but I
think he was like a road manager. That is not the same thing. And red flag, he worked with R. Kelly.
It's a lot of red flags there. But yeah, I definitely agree. Husbands do not need to be managers, especially when there's a group. Like when Vince was managing Tamar and it's just he and Tamar together, knock yourselves out. But when it's
all the Braxtons,
no, because it's not ever going to be right. And somebody said Melba Moore too. I'm telling you, it just never works.
They should have one manager, one stylist.
I'm going to say this, and I know we got to go. It's almost 1:30. I mean, we've only been on here an hour and a half. I thought it was hilarious when Tamika was talking about all these grandiose things of people coming up out of the stage together. I was like, what is the budget for this tour?
What is the budget and what is, I'm so sorry. What are your ages? Because y'all are not doing Beyonce style choreography at an Xscape show when most of your shows are ballads. If y'all don't stand on the mic and do a 1, a 2, and call it a day.
It's blessed. Everybody wants to be Beyonce. I get it. But no, I didn't. I was like, what is she talking about? And Tiny was like, you sounds like you've been thinking about this for a long time. But A lot of times artists, they don't actually put the shows together and are not in control of that. So it just sounded like she had all these ideas that didn't really make a lot of sense with the group. And I don't even know about the groups singing together. They got enough issues with just each of the groups together. Like, just let SWV rock, just let Xscape rock, and that's it. You know, I there's no need to intertwine. I thought the verses was cute, but I think SWV definitely did kill the verses. I'm gonna say that. I definitely was a SWV fan more so than Xscape. Xscape is cool, but I just their SWV's voices are just on some different stuff.
I don't think I'll be recapping this show that much with you.
No,
like I said, they gave me a headache, and I need to be not having headaches right now.
That's not the purpose of watching TV, is to have a headache. Well, we are finished with Real Housewives of Potomac for this season. I thank you, Brenda, for hanging out with me every week and talking about the shit show that was Potomac. This was fun. We will definitely be keeping in touch, and we'll be back when they return the season. And then also we will be talking about Married at First Sight, which is also a train wreck as well, on Wednesdays. But it's been fun talking about Real Housewives of Potomac, and I've enjoyed having you here. People said we got tea talk with your girl. Said thank you for getting me through my lunch. This was great. Brenda is her name. Brenda is very informative. Yeah, our names are not up there, but yes, this was good. This was cool. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. Get back to the work day. And Brenda, I will see you on Wednesday actually, we'll probably do it the day after for Married at First Sight.
We'll probably do like a midday thing again.
Okay. All right. See you guys later. Have a good one.